Right, so far we have our current weather class where we can access our current weather information. The problem is it's hard-coded for now, so we have a specific city and country we are getting the weather for. We're going to fix this later. What I want to do now is to finish with our model. So we have our current weather, then we need our weather for every hour and the weekly weather. So if I were to open my radio application here, you can see the current weather is on top here, which is set for San Francisco. And then we have every hour weather forecast, and we have actually the time of the weather, the temperature, and our icon of the weather information. So our hourly weather class is going to display only these three information. We don't have to keep any other information there unless your UI is different and you want to show more information there. But in my case, I'm gonna stick with these three parts here. So we're gonna have three variables. So let's go to our model folder here. I'm going to create another Swift file, Command N to open it, click next. And this one I'm going to call hourly weather. Let's call it hourly forecast. And of course we need to create our class. And of course let's also import our alarm of fire and Swifty.json. So a lot of this class is gonna be similar to our already existing current weather, and but the only difference here is we're gonna have only three variables. So let's create our variables, and this is gonna be on date. It's gonna be type of date. Then we need var temperature, so it's temp, and it's gonna be double. And we need the weather icon so we can show our icon to our user. And this is gonna be a string, which is our weather icon name. Of course we want to make them private, so let's add our private keyword here. If you want to put multiple cursors here, you can shift, control, and click as many times as you want, and you can have multiple cursors here. So say private, and now we have all three lines together. Right, and these are private variables. Let's create our setters. I'm sorry, our getters, because our class is the only place we can set these variables. So let's create our getter. So say var date, and this is gonna be a date, which is gonna return our date. But first we need to check if there is a date set. So we say if underscore date is equals to nil. And in this case we are going to set our date to be equals to a date. So we create a date now. Then we're gonna have another variable called temp, and it's gonna be a double. And we say if temp is nil, then we are going to set our temp to 0. And because it's a double, we'll put 0.0. And finally, we have to return our temp here. And the last thing is our weather icon. Weather icon. And this is going to be a string. And we say if underscore weather icon is equals to nil, we are going to set it to empty string. And let's return it as well. All right, we have our getters, we have our private variables. Let me just quickly remove this empty space. And we're ready to create our function here. But apart from our function, unlike our current weather, we will need also an initializer here, but we're going to do it later on. We just let's start with our download daily weather forecast function. So I'm going to say this is going to be a class function. And we call this download daily forecast weather. As you can see, I'm calling my functions whatever they are doing, so it's easier for the for me if I read my code later on, or for any other person who's reading this function call, so you understand what the function really does. So we are downloading daily forecast weather here. Again, we're going to need our URL. I'm going to stick with my current hard-coded URL, which we are going to update later on. So let me copy this, but we need to modify this a bit because this shows the current weather and we want our forecast to be every hour. So I'm going to put some space here after version 2.0. I'm going to write forecast / and then I want hourly, so hourly question mark, and then we need the city name here, which is actually, we can get it. So we have our city Nicosia, country CY, and of course I need my API key. So we have our location URL, and we can get our forecast for our hourly weather for this specific location.